Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol. And yes guys, it's the final episode of What If Naruto was neglected with chaos magic guys. I just want to say thank you. It's been an amazing ride. Thank you guys for joining me on it as well. But you don't have to worry or be concerned because you already know new what ifs coming up very soon for you guys to enjoy. I've already posted something new over at Anime King 2 of what if Naruto was left to die by Team 7 and he was founded by a godly clan. Go ahead, check that out, and yeah, enjoy. Link down in description for that guys, and the other channels as well if you're new. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this? Let's begin now guys. So a bit of a recap for the last part that we left off. After 3 long years, Naruto woke up, having sat for 3 years straight, facing chaos within himself, so that he could gain full acceptance and master the power. Upon waking up, the entire world was aware. As tidal waves, tsunamis, earthquakes, the sky itself turned completely crimson red. As for Naruto, he took great changes. His hair, his height, his physical features reaching their peak form. Yes, his peak form of strength, endurance, stamina, everything. He was ready to finally make a move. At Konoha, Menma was worrying about if he could face this, as the threat seemed to be much bigger than he originally thought, as he watched the entire sky be affected by Naruto and his power, and that scared him. However, it wasn't only that though. A powerful being that had been taking light of the situation decided it was time that it intervened. As for Naruto, a mere test of his power, he decided to head towards a small village hidden in the Rocky Mountains. Upon arriving at that village, Naruto laid waste to it, causing chaos and mayhem, wiping the entire village off the map just like that. He erased it completely. There was nothing left, and no one left alive. As for his most loyal, Naruto infused Orochimaru with so much chaotic energy. It changed him. It turned him into a far more powerful being than what he was before, as he underwent a full transformation, changing his power skyrocketing to abnormal levels, all to make him serve Naruto even more, grateful and blessed for the power. So with that, the real fun can begin. At Konoha, the being known as Law, Order, and Balance arrived, as it started to speak to Minato and Menma. However, it pointed out that Ino was aligned with chaos. Menma refused to believe this, as he refused it. Not one bit would he believe what this thing was saying. For all they knew, Naruto was the one that sent it. However, the being decided to intervene and Ino was forced to reveal herself. Menma's whole world was turned upside down, as he was beyond shock, mortified to find out that the love of his life was actually dead. And this thing, this abomination, was being used by Naruto to use him. It broke a part of him. However, he could not wallow in pity forever. After all, things were just beginning, and they were about to get a lot worse if something is not done about it. Law and order and balance paid Naruto a visit. Upon gaining full control of chaos, Naruto had omniversal understanding of everything around him, able to perceive multiple realities itself. And he knew what this being was. However, the both of them could not fight. It was a strict rule within all of reality. If they were to come at blows, the entire foresight of reality would collapse in on itself. Chaos did something rather abnormal. For the longest time now, it was simply a manifestation of raw chaotic energy coursing through the known universes, but now it had came together and fused with one individual, becoming one and gaining a full grasp on the mortal coil. And now, there was nothing to stop it. That is when balance, law, and order came in, teleporting all of the leaders of their village, the main leaders, towards a sanctumon. Menma was also brought there as well, because he was the only one that could actually stop this. Law, order, and balance saw it when they were talking. This boy possessed what he needed. This boy had what he needed to stop this. However, in doing so, it had to do the same thing that chaos did, and that was infuse Menma with its power. However, Menma couldn't have any doubts. He couldn't have anything that lingered in his heart, otherwise chaos would use it against him and wipe him from the face of the earth. While the rest of them gathered their forces because Naruto had an army of the dead and he was coming. Meanwhile, the organization known as the Akatsuki were all summoned by the leader. However, upon arriving in their holographic form, they were all teleported away, confused and marred, majority of them not quite understanding what was going on, as they were all brought towards the land of rain. That is when Naruto, the newly modified Ino, and Orochimaru arrive on the scene. As Naruto told the leader straight up that he wanted him a part of his army, him and his band of S-rank criminals, he said with a smile on his face. The leader of the Akatsuki, known as Pain, refused to bow to anyone or anything, and the mere fact that Naruto had the gall to step into his country and demand anything from him, it rubbed him the wrong way. It angered him greatly, to the point of such palpable rage. He held his hand out with the sole intention of blowing Naruto cleanly out of the village. However, to his and everyone else's shock, upon releasing a super-powered almighty push, absolutely nothing happened, causing Naruto to laugh and ask if that was it. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place, check out for yourself so to be in this new episode guys. Why? Why are you showing me this? Menma asks. Beside him stood law, order, and balance. As they spoke, this is the reality of what will happen if chaos is not stopped. Menma was witnessing the end of the known universe itself. Thousands, millions, billions of planets, an unquantifiable number of species wiped away. The universe itself, reality, was being broken. In the center of it all was Naruto. Only Menma and law, order, and balance was currently in this space. Because, as he told Menma, he couldn't have any doubt in his heart. He couldn't have anything that chaos could use against him because, in the state that he was in, one false move, chaos could use that against him. It didn't matter the power that he would have at his disposal. Chaos was able to feed on negativity. It was able to feed on anguish, pain, sadness, and turn it all into chaos. And at the moment Menma wasn't feeling up to the challenge. He lost Ino. He thought that he could have a life with her, have a family. He loved her with everything that he had. And all this time she was just playing him. All this time it was just a ruse. Naruto was able to do so much things. He had power beyond anyone's wildest imagination. What makes him so special that he would be chosen to defeat him? What makes him so special out of everyone else? His father, the Sanins. There were so many other. Why? Why him? Menma turned all of his questions towards a being standing next to him. They looked down towards him. There are some things in this universe that not even I, someone of my great power, knows. A very long time ago, thousands of eons to you, the prophecy hang tall. The prophecy depicts the end of the known universe. However, it doesn't just stop there. The end of all reality. However, now I can see clearly. It's not going to end, it is going to change. However, what will emerge from a broken society will be worlds, galaxies, a universe that is filled with nothing but corruption and chaos. The whole balance of life, death, everything will be thrown off. And it's only a matter of time before that is achieved. There are other powerful beings that reside to keep balance. However, none are as powerful as chaos itself. Even the embodiment of death does not stand a chance to what chaos truly is, because everything can be corrupted. Everything in the known universe can be thrown into chaos. And the both of us are opposites of one another, created to keep balance. But chaos has made a drastic turn by infusing itself with this boy, gaining a physical grasp in the universe. No longer spurts of chaos or people simply harnessing a fraction of the power. It is all here. And I do not know why you are destined to be the one to stop it, but I do know something. If you don't, all three of them were talking now. All reality is doomed, they said. As Menma stood there, looking up at the being in front of him. His mind, his actions, heavy down on him in that moment, as he thought about everything from his life up until now. He thought about everything, the positions, the path that he's taken. I'm sorry, Ino, he whispered under his breath. However, when he opened his eyes, there was a new determination, a look that was never in there before. He had to release the past in order to create a better future. He had to put his problems aside to save the life of countless others, including his family and everyone in the village that still love and cherish him. He had to save them all. As he gazed up towards the being of law, order, and balance, his gaze fixated on it. He was ready. Meanwhile, that was going on. Descending from the heavens like a meteor. Followed behind him was 6 cloak-figured, as they all descended down into the pipeline area. Naruto landed on the water, yet the water did not ripple, nor did it burst or anything. The 6 paths of pain descended all around him. Tendo was the one that spoke. There is no escape, he said. Naruto looked towards him as he burst out laughing. He couldn't hold it back. Escape? You think I was running from you? Oh no, said Naruto. I wasn't running away. I was simply giving her space. After all, she do hate that I've been taking the spotlight a lot. Tendo snapped his gaze upwards, focusing as he saw the girl. Ino had went through drastic changes as well. Her once blonde, pristine hair, now crimson like blood. Her once lavish blue eyes were dark, looking like the very definition of the color, pitch black to its core. Her form had been greatly enhanced. Her physical attributes were something that would make any man drool. All of it wrapped together in a skin-tight, black, and red bodysuit, along with a cloak that seemed to have a mind of its own. The way it calmly moved without the action of the wind, as her hair flew lavishly down behind her. Ino gazed down, as the members of the organization had been split. Flying to meet her was none other than Conan, the angel of the hidden rain. Conan did not want any destruction to fall on the village. When she extended both of her hands, as paper shurikens flew. However, Ino simply pursed her lips before she exhaled. Out of nowhere, not even leaving her mouth, the flames simply conjure in front of her. These flames were not normal. They were crimson just like her hair, all consuming, swallowing, hell flames. Conan had to take to the sky, but even then the flames shoot out like a cage trying to capture a bird. They twist and twirl, separating into multiple. Conan was fast, however. The flames had a mind of their own, and their speed was immaculate, and they were trained on the target. Conan blazed through the sky before descending. She could not shake them. Tendo saw that and quickly used his gravity manipulation. However, the next moment, he was surrounded by a red aura. He was then violently thrown through several pipes. Those pipes were massive and large as steam came out of them. Naruto had his hand up. I wouldn't advise intervening. She tend to get a bit nasty. And your mind, said Naruto. The reason why the almighty push did not work on him. Naruto also had telekinesis. But the sheer fact that he could cancel out all of that force so easily just showed the magnitude of the situation. Conan, on the other hand, created 3 paper clones. However, not even they were fast enough, and the clones were incinerated upon contact. She took down below, intending on losing them until the ground below exploded up as flames emerged. She tried to escape, however, she was trapped. It circled around her like a cocoon, and she was stuck inside. She looked around frantically as she was sweating heavily. Her whole body felt like it was burning up. Ino descended downwards, as the robot path quickly turned his arm into missiles. Intending on launching them, however, Naruto stopped them in their tracks before turning them around and sending them right back. However, Tendo came from the pipes and blew them all to smithereens. That is when he heard the blood-curdling scream as Ino allowed the flames to consume everything on the inside, burning everything, even the ear itself. The eyes of the Renegon widened as he just witnessed his only close friend in this world perish right in front of his eyes. Chakra started to stir like a monster waking up from slumber. Every ounce of his power started to circulate through the rods, sending power to the path. Their bodies started to glow with an ominous, powerful wave of chakra, each and every one of them. All of them coming together as one, like he was simply controlling one being and not 6. Rage, anguish, loss was very powerful emotions. To do one thing and to do one thing only: slaughter your opponents. As Naruto held his hand out, as a red orb flew towards him, that and 3 others He simply allowed it to fuse into his body. As he watched and saw the power in front of him building and building, and all he did was smile. Over to the other side, Kisame was on the ground. The name was rather fitting given his appearance. He'd been turned into sushi, sliced and diced into pieces. The broken form of sorcerer was all over the place. Hedon, the unkillable one, was currently sitting on the ground. There was a hole in his forehead, and there was something moving around. Given that his eyes were white and he was motionless, he was not doing so good. Kakazu had his chest area torn open. There was no longer any hearts inside of it. Deidara, the mad bomber, was lying on the ground, headless. Given the feet of what was behind him, it seems like his head has exploded. There was only one member of the organization left, and that was Itachi Uchiha. Itachi, for the first time, had genuine fear in his eyes. Yes, there wasn't much in his life that he had to fear. He did his job, he did what he had to do, knowing that in the future that things would be set for him, because Sasuke would come to end his life. But that didn't seem possible anymore. However, the reason why Itachi was looking at Orochimaru with fear was because this was not Orochimaru. The Orochimaru he knew, despite powerful, was still no match for the entire Akatsuki, but this was some abomination. A creature that can do things that he's never seen before. However, it was his right to take it down with him. Itachi summoned his Susanoo. Orochimaru stood there unfazed. As he looked up at him, it wasn't long ago that I desired that the body of a Uchiha was perfection, especially yours. And then, I wanted to go after your brother. But now, I see how truly misguided I was. The Sannin said, speaking to himself. As he was talking openly though, as Itachi Susanoo formed in front of him, all I feel for you right now is pity. But it's not just you alone, for everyone else, because they won't get to feel what it feels to work under my master, what it means to be a servant of my master. None of you will get to feel that sort of enlightenment, and that makes me truly upset. Would you look at that? Something I even looked for in the past. The Tatsuka blade. Itachi did not waste any time as he drove the thing down. Whatever you are, whatever you've become, I'll make sure that it never see the light of day ever again. As he pulled Orochimaru inside of the blade, effectively sealing him away. Itachi was going to do it with his subordinates. However, the blade started to shake. The bottom half where the containment was started to rumble. The Sharingan widened as he looked down towards it. Impossible, he said. It started to crack before. It shattered like glass. The aura that came out of it brought everything to a perspective of anguish. Even the Susanoo waned at the feeling of the aura. Itachi dropped to one knee, coughing up blood, as he could hear his heart beat, pounding in his ears. A frightening, unholy expression written across his face. This shouldn't be possible, Itachi said, breaking his stoic character that he's held for so long again and again. As he looked towards Orochimaru's body that came together from smoke, as he brought himself together. Rather nasty looking weapon you have there. If it was some years ago, I would have never been able to escape, but now, I have so much trust in my master I never fear the effects of Seal or anyone. Because as long as my master draw breath, and as long as I stand at his side as a faithful servant, none of us can be killed. Orochimaru said. He held his hand out before he grabbed it with his left. The Sannin broke his own arm, literally tearing it right out of the socket. However, the next second, a freshly arm regrew, and the broken arm changed into a blade. A crimson black blade. Orochimaru drew it on the ground, and the ground was being destroyed. Not cracked, not burned, destruction. There were horrific screams coming from the blade. Sound like the very pit of hell. And it wasn't giving off heat. It was a strange energy. Itachi flew Susanoo back up to its max. The Sannin jumped forward as Itachi brought his shield out. The reflective shield. However, when the blade made contact with it, it was like two forces colliding and there was this friction. A loud boom went off as the shield exploded into chakra particles. But not just that, the entire suit of Susanoo exploded away. Itachi was baffled as he fell down, mortified and shocked. Standing over him was Orochimaru, gazing down towards him. Your techniques are strong. Your abilities are powerful, however. As Itachi looked up towards him, trying his final effect, as Itachi brought him into the Tsukuyomi world. As I was saying, Orochimaru said, your techniques might be powerful, but you're not dealing with something that belongs to this world anymore. The Sannin said as he started to break off the cross, revealing his true form. Itachi Uchiha stepped back with a mortified look on his face. In the outside world, blood leaked from Itachi's eyes and mouth, as his heart simply stopped. Whatever happened, whatever he saw in the Tsukuyomi world, his heart stopped. He keeled over dead. And just like that, Orochimaru eliminated all members except for the leader of the organization. Just like that. While that was going on, the land of rain was being burned. A cackle could be heard as Ino was raining destruction upon them, laughing as she turned people into dust, burning children, the elderly. It brought her joy. She split the goddamn village in half with a tsunami of flames. Over to the other side, Tendo and the other Pats working together trying to take Naruto down. The summoning Pat summoned 3 animals at once, as Nagato was not conserving his chakra. A massive rhino, multiple dogs, and a bird. They all charged forward, right towards Naruto. Naruto spoke a word in the standard language of their world. It meant change. And the moment he said that, the animals changed into spiders. All of their bodies encompassing a large area of spiders. And these things were vicious, acid leaking from their mouth. They started to move beyond Naruto as he walked. They entered the village parameters and they were ripping and devouring people apart. A massive armada of missiles were launched directly towards Naruto from the robot path. Naruto held his hand up as they all froze where they stood, as he froze time around the missiles. However, time was still fluctuating normal everywhere else, just to show the level of control and powers he now had at his disposal. Naruto stepped forward and turned his hand slightly, allowing the missiles to explode, yet the explosion still remained frozen in mid-air. He then clenched his fist and it vanished. As he looked towards all the paths of pain except for one. The next moment the explosions went inside of their bodies and went off. Tendo was mortified as he watched. All of them were reduced to dust, as Nagato lost visual through 5 of the 6. I would say impressive, but I would just be lying. You see, I have far exceed the standard calibration for what it means to be a human. I'm no longer your kind. I've heard what you said, believing that you're a god. Well, if anyone is a god here, it is me. Naruto said, stepping forward and literally destroying the space in between them. The space of concept made no more sense. Chaos made no sense after all. It was like a broken reality. So somehow Naruto reached Tendo within any second. No time frame. But it wasn't just Tendo alone. Naruto was now standing in front of Nagato, holding Tendo's head in his hand. The man was mortified and shocked. That is when a swirling vortex appeared. Zetsu had also been brought along. However, he had immediately left to inform the masked man of what was going on. Naruto raised a hand, freezing the man in place, literally freezing space and time and everything around it, holding him there in his intangibility form as he tried to enter. The masked man was shocked and confused. What is this? Where am I? He said, stuck between their realm and his. A place that had no concept, nothing. You could only imagine the concept that had on someone's mind, because there was nothing there. Nothing to see, nothing to hear, nothing to be. It was just there. And he was stuck there, surrounded by the red aura, as Naruto's hand was still glowing. Naruto stepped towards Nagato and raised him out of his machine. Nagato tried to raise his arm, but Naruto bent them until they snapped out of their socket. Naruto then started to clench his fist as Nagato's body started to curl, little by little as he screamed out, causing Naruto pleasure by hearing the scream of anguish. When Naruto's fist was fully closed, Nagato's body had been turned into the size of a tennis ball. Blood and guts and all over. Hundreds of red orbs started to float towards Naruto. Everyone that he killed, he took their soul. A chaotic binding vow. But it wasn't just him, anyone that his subordinates or his creations killed. Their soul came to him because of their link that they share. Naruto started to whisper under his breath, chanting something as he was able to step in the space of nothing. The masked man. His mask had been degraded. There was nothing left. Time. While his body was untouched because of the aura that surrounded him. Courtesy of Naruto, the mask and the clothing, they had withered through time. He was in a space where time itself made no sense. It has been thousands of years since he was placed here. Enough time for him to lose his mind 10 times over. As he looked towards Naruto and started to mutter and talk to himself, believing that he was seeing one of his apparitions, a ghost. Naruto took his face in his hand though and looked at him. That face of yours. A smile came to Naruto's face, knowing exactly who this is. Time skip. When Naruto stepped out of the building, the entire land was on fire. as Ino was finished burning everything. Orochimaru flashed by Naruto's side. I take it they're all dead. Without a question, Orochimaru said. Looks like she's having fun, he said, gazing up into the heavens, where Ino was throwing down flames and slashes that were gouging the earth and ripping everything apart. Naruto stepped forward and the next second he was beside her. You seem to be having fun. She snapped her gaze towards him. The look in her eyes, a rather lustful one. I feel so alive, she said. She crashed into him, intertwining their lips together, as the both of them crashed into the burning flames. The Sannin simply gazed over the entire place, as the island itself was being destroyed, as Naruto and Ino were fooling around within the flames, completely untouched and unharmed. Time skip. It started out small. Out of nowhere, they heard sounds. And then they came. An army was marching across the land. This army had surrounded the entire elemental nation, and they were converging. The land of snow, the land of Yeti, land of star. Every single major nation brought their forces together. All of their people had to move. Every single one of them, the civilians, the elderly, the kids, all of them had to move. All of them were centering in on Konoha. People from the stone, people from, well, the water was gone now. The land of wave was also swallowed as well. Everyone had to move in. They had to come together as one. Konoha was packed to the rim, with all of the civilians in the surrounding forest as well. The place was a mess with people. The problem was, Naruto was marching his army around the entire world and having them circle before coming in, wiping out every village. He has been successful in wiping out 95% of the small villages. There was only 3 left. Taki was one of them and 2 others, which were currently being devoured as we speak. Minato had sent word for all of them to come to Konoha. People were trying their best. Ninjas were sending their support, however, the army was just too overwhelming. They could not fight them without giving it everything they had. On the battlefield, top ninjas, fresh genins, fresh chunins, fresh jonins, everyone was there. They were mixed together. However, they knew what they were fighting. They were fighting abominations, death itself, death and destruction incarnate. It was pure chaos. Minato was worried. Despite the amount of people they had, as he stood on the battlefield with the Kages by his side, that was not the problem. Menma was not back yet. Kushina was on the battlefield as well. They all had to fight because if they lose, well, there will be nothing left. So they all had to fight. Every able-bodied man had to come together and lend a hand. Because if they lost, there would be nothing left to fight for. So everyone was ready. The place was so packed together. As they heard it, the howls, they felt the tremble, the earth shaking violently as the army was being marched across it. Minato stood there along with the other Kages, each of them securing a point of the globe. Given that it was now 4 of them, things weren't looking so great. They didn't want it this way, however, they could not afford to fight them one village at a time, because that village would be overrun. So they unfortunately had to pull their forces inside. They're here, a Hyuga said, as everyone could see them now clearly. Just the front line. However, what the Hyugas could see, it was frightening. an army spanning beyond the wildest distance of their eyes, to the point that they reached their limit and there was still no end. It was truly and utterly terrifying. Yes, as everyone who was everyone was saying a final prayer. This was what they were fighting for. It was mankind. Nothing more and nothing less. It was either them or death. Hello there, father. Minato was shocked and caught off guard when Naruto simply appeared within their ranks. A stone ninja immediately raised his arm. However, Naruto did not even look his way, as his neck snapped to the right and his body fell down dead. Weapons were drawn, but Minato raised a hand, stopping them in their movements. They looked at him like he was crazy, but they stopped, seeing what just happened to that stone ninja. However, Naruto gazed towards a kunoichi nearby. With a simple look, she attacked him as he played on the weakness, the fear in her mind. Upon running towards him out of desperation and fear, something flew into her mouth. As she started to swell, her body breaking out in hives. Her body started to bleed uncontrollably. Mouth, nose, ears, eyes. Everything. As she collapsed down to the ground, a bloody mess. "They're so terrified," said Naruto, as he stepped towards Minato. Minato was holding a 3-pronged kunai in his hand. "Is that what you came here to say?" he said, signaling behind his back. "No, not really. I'm curious. Where's my brother?" he said. "I can sense that he's not here, and I haven't been able to sense him for some time now. That stupid thing is blocking me. So tell me, what are they up to?" "There is nothing of that you need to know," said Minato. "What you do need to know is, we're going to stop you." "Oh, you are you?" "Huh. Well, last time I checked, I was the one with the undead army. You do understand the difference between live and dead, right? I mean, if I were to gut one of your guys right now, like this," Naruto pushed his hand through a sand shinobi. Others tried to retaliate, however a force field appeared around Naruto, so he wouldn't stop his speech. "You see what I mean? He's in anguish." Naruto pulled his hand out as he reached up and tasted the blood. Truly magnificent. "He can't really do anything," Naruto said as he stepped on his head. Applying pressure, Naruto squashed his head completely out. And just like that, he's gone. "But if you were to do that to one of my guys, they would simply get back up until there is nothing left, and even then, they might still try to get you somehow. So tell me, how exactly you think you're going to win?" "Where there's a will, there's a way. Mankind will never fall to the monster you are." "I always knew it," said Minato. "Even before the prophecy. The moment you were born, the moment you came into this world, you were corrupted and cursed. A fiend, an abomination. I should have gotten rid of you a long time ago. But beyond my better judgment, I thought there was still a chance to save your soul, but I was wrong. What you've done to these people, to these nations, you deserve to die," he said. "Whoa, that's harsh. I wonder." Naruto vanished. The next moment he reappeared. Both Kushina and Mito were by his side. They quickly spun around to fight, but Naruto was already gone. "Sorry, I guess I'm just too fast." Naruto sat on the ground, a force field surrounding his form. As he looked at them, "I was thinking that we could have a family chat before this all begins." Kushina looked towards him, seeing him for the first time since. "I thought There was still a chance, she said. There was still a way. I saw changes. But it was all a show, wasn't it? Just a way to trick me. To use me against my family. Your family. I guess I'm no longer included. You stopped being included the moment you went down this path. Mito said. You lied to me as well, and I stupidly believed you. Believing that you had changed, but I was wrong as well. It's not our mother's fault. You're just a conniving, trickery person. And it doesn't matter what happened from this moment on. You will go on knowing that we despise you. Because you are a monster. And for that you deserve to burn. You know, you somehow believe that your hate for me is going to make me weep or something is truly hilarious. Especially you, sister. I could care damn about what you believe or what you want. Or your feelings. To be quite frank, I care nothing about any of you. I haven't for a very long time now. However, I'm still thinking of the ways I'm going to punish you all. You see, I'm a very petty person. I've come to realize. I don't just want to kill you guys. I want to hurt you badly. At first I thought it was because of what happened to me when I was younger, but I've now come to realize I'm just a twisted, messed up person. Those things that happen, you guys abandoning me, leaving me to fend for myself, I don't care. But I just want to hurt you guys. To make you suffer. Maybe to make my past self live on, knowing that I got my revenge. Otherwise though, I truly don't care. After all, there are much bigger things for me to do now. Much bigger. Naruto paused as he was slammed in the face. A fist launching him across the entire goddamn forest. Naruto crashed in a trench. Looking up, Orochimaru and Ino was looking down at him. I was going to ask what took you so long. But I now want to ask, what the hell hit you? Ino said. That is what I would like to know, Naruto said as he got to his feet. Marching over, the two of them followed behind him. When they arrived, they saw who was the culprit. It was Menma. But it wasn't your average Menma anymore. Glowing in a strange white aura, with a tri symbol on his forehead. Menma was standing there. There were massive toads that surrounded the army. Toads summoned by Jiraiya of the Sannin. Given that Naruto had simply teleported within their ranks, they really couldn't do anything about that. Oh, hi Menma, Ino said. Shut up, he said to her. His tone, calm yet so ferocious. Whatever you are, I'll make sure that she laid to rest. Once I get rid of you. Now isn't that hurtful? I am the one you spent the last 3 years with, you know that, right? You're just an abomination. A pawn. A creature of his creation. My oh my. Haven't you got a rather feisty mouth on yourself as of late? Maybe I should rip it off, she said. Menma fully turned as he looked at her. Why don't you come and try, he said to her. His gaze straight forward. No sympathy, nothing at all, just a straightforward, calm gaze. His body glistening with that white aura. I do apologize, but I'm going to have to interrupt this farmer. Love spat, said Naruto. Don't worry. You can take all the others if you like. However, save them, Naruto said to Ino. She was a bit unpleased by it, but she got over it really quickly as her gaze turned towards the others. I won't allow you to end humanity, Menma said. I can see that. You've changed a lot. I can feel the power coursing through your veins. I can see it. You've embodied law, order, and balance. Truly impressive. I never expect that thing to pull off such a feat. Menma held his hand out, and beams of light shoot from his hand, hitting everyone on his side. The next moment their bodies were enveloped in the white aura. Oh, giving them a boost as well? Isn't that a bit copy and paste, given my... Naruto looked over his shoulder, his army of the dead. You have yours, I have mine, said Menma. You seem a bit off, emotionless. Oh, I see. In order to fight what I am, you have to take emotion and feelings out of the picture. I'm impressed you were able to do that, considering all I've done to you. I mean, I took the love of your life away, and now she's mine. I've hurt you in many other ways. I've stripped you of what you are by tricking you over and over and over again. How can you stand there with a clear face and a clear mind to face me? That won't work, said Menma. Your thoughts cannot enter my mind. Naruto chuckled. Had to give it a try. Well, if that won't work. Naruto waved his hand out and Menma was grabbed and thrown. He slammed through at least a dozen trees before stopping himself. Naruto appeared in front of him and slammed his fist in his face, launching Menma. As I said, I'm a very petty person, and I wanted to punch you back. The two brothers flew towards each other. As Ino smiled, let the funs begin, shall we? Upon her saying that, as she raised her hand in the sky, she snapped her finger. All hell broke loose. All the undead rushed forward. The massive toad brought down their weapons to stop them, however. The undead started to climb them like they were monkey bars, ripping and tearing them apart from the inside out as they dug into their very skin, showing that their strength had not wavered. Not to mention their skills were still there as well. They could fight, which was the most scariest part. And the most troubling part was, they had access. Yes, they had access to chaos energy as Ino descended upon the group. It was their former classmates. All of them, including Team 9. It's so good to see you guys again. Cut the crap. We know what you are, and we're not gonna fall for it, Mito said, pointing a kunai towards her. Well, I guess we can get straight to business then, she said. Who wants to die first? As Shikamaru and the others braced themselves. Over to the other side, Jiraiya and Tsunade was face to face with none other than Orochimaru. To think, you allow yourself to become a puppet. You of all people, how far have you fallen? Tsunade said to him. A puppet? That's what you believe it is? Well, believe what you must, however. I see myself as a glorious, saved person that was saved by the master of this now universe. And I will continue to follow him until the ends of time, and even beyond that. However, it's no point in telling you anything. You will both be dead soon, he said, breaking his arm off as he turned it into a blade. Both Sanins prepared themselves as Tsunade was filled with an overwhelming amount of energy. The markings on her body spreading, Jiraiya having maw and paw launch into his shoulder, entering Sage mode. As chaos started, Minato was zipping through the field, as Minato was covered by a white aura, even more prominent than the one that Menma surrounded him with. It was something that he had created over the past few years. He called it Wind Dragon mode. He harnessed the wind energy like the Raikage Cloak of Lightning, making his attack more sharp and dense and powerful. Sasuke Uchiha was face to face with Itachi, a zombified Itachi, who was walking towards and seeking him out. As Sasuke's Sharingan activated, he rushed forward to attack it as it started to attack back. Rock Lee was in the fray with Tenten and Ino, clashing, as Might Guy was fighting off against some of the more lavish, bloodthirsty monsters. It was chaos all over. The Raikage zipping through the field, Oniki using his particle style, Baki, the Sand siblings, all of them working together, all of them fighting for humanity, but the dead just kept on coming, and their strength was ridiculous. Everyone had received a boost in their strength, speed, reflex enhancements, not to mention the infection of this virus, because that is what it was. Chaos could not pierce them, even after getting bit or ripped. The purified energy that Menma blessed them with was keeping them intact. It was even healing them, accelerating their body standard healing far beyond what they normally had, which gave them a great boost and confidence that they could win this. Everyone paused except for the dead as they heard violent explosions. The earth started to be shake apart as the two forces, red and white, violently clashed against each other in mid-air, shaking the entire planet. That is when they flew directly out of it, breaking through Earth's atmosphere. And even then, their clash started to cause mayhem. The sea, the oceans, chaos versus law. Their violent waves clashing and ripping everything around them apart. And they were in space. They crash landed on the moon. Blows were being exchanged. Naruto had every single knowledge of all of his creations. He knew their fighting style, he knew everything. So even if Menma had been training with that area for the longest time now, because Naruto was never really a fighter, but now he had all that knowledge in his head, and he had the strength and speed to match it. Naruto released a red power ball that crashed in the moon after Menma dodged. The whole thing was about to go unstable and erupt. However, Menma confined it, pushing it back together, showing the amazing abilities that he was granted with as he flew into Naruto, their clash causing rippling vibration throughout the entire space. It was violent and destructive, and also very chaotic as well. Menma created a white Rasengan as Naruto created a red energy ball in his hand. When their attacks met, they cracked space, rupturing the space and time between them, causing the both of them to be sucked into a vacuum. Despite having no idea where they were, they kept on fighting, their blows shaking everything around them, transcending through space and everything, rupturing time. After all, it wasn't Menma and Naruto fighting, it was chaos and order. Things that were known through the entire multiverse, with the power and force to back up everything that was ever said or would be said. And things were only just getting started. Violent amount of chaotic energy started to erupt from Naruto. He literally created a supernova with enough energy to wipe out the entire section of this space. Menma brought his hand together and created what seemed to be a Rasengan. However, it just had the shape and the swirl. It started to split apart into 10 different giant balls of energy. They started to spin around each other so fast that they became one still blur. Menma launched it as the two forces collided. Both brothers held their hands out as they pushed against each other. They pushed and pushed and pushed until the two forces could not push anymore, and they ruptured together. Black holes rip in the universe and space and time and reality. As their forces started to collide, they were thrown through different space and different time. They were fighting for days, weeks, months, years. as they were falling through different concept of time and different living, where time slow, where time accelerates. Yet, both of them were still going at it, having almost an endless supply of energy coursing through them. The both of them came to a stop. No wonder they were opposites of one another. What we are now, we are equally balanced, said Naruto. We both can keep on fighting for eons, until the end of time, Menma said. But it doesn't matter because I won't allow you to hurt anyone else. Well, you see, that's where you're wrong. However, Naruto was interrupted by death. Naruto blinked in surprise, a foresight that he never saw. Death arrived, standing by Menma's side. And what would you, Keeper of Souls, be doing here? Intervention was not something that I planned on doing. However, as I can see, others did not feel the same. You are in balance. You shall be destroyed. You think you can stop me? You're powerful, however. You're just a dump. A place that the dead go. And if you haven't noticed, I can't die. You're right. I do not possess the power to stop you, but just like law, order, and balance, there are countless other forces in this universe that don't wish to see reality cease to exist. And I spoke to all of them. It turned towards Menma. You are the only one that can stop him. And with this, you would be able to. Death reached out and grabbed Menma's hand. A bright light caused Naruto to look away slightly, as his vision was impaired for a few seconds. The next moment, Menma's power had grown severely. As he looked at himself, it seems everyone wants you to fail, and they've entrusted me to make sure that happens. Menma arrived in front of Naruto and grabbed him by the throat, shocking Naruto. And this time, I'll ensure that I put you down, Menma said. Naruto was hit so hard that it sent gravities through the galaxies, all of them, despite their infinite size and number, as Naruto was hit to the center of the goddamn universe. Menma was on a whole nother level. He was empowered by death, the concept of space, the concept of time, everything, with the sole purpose of killing Naruto. As Naruto lay there, he started to bleed. Menma arrived, close in the distance, traveling far, far, far beyond the speed of light, to the point that it was irrelevant. The problem was, this amount of energy packed in together was too much. When Death made contact with him, he told him that he only had 2 minutes. But that was plenty of time. When Menma hit Naruto again, the universe almost broke. As Naruto plundered through space, crashing through galaxies itself, Menma descended upon him and slammed Naruto into a planet, causing it to implode. Menma dropped down with so much force, a Rasengan forming, filled with nothing but pure residual energy from all of the concept that empowered him. When the Rasengan hit Naruto in the chest, it went large. It shook the universe as Naruto's body spiraled and crashed onto a desolate planet. He was bloody and broken. Menma landed, power oozing and glistening out of him, and he still had a minute to spare. I told you, Menma said. It's over. As he stood above Naruto, you've done so much. You've hurt so much people. Die with pride. Don't bother begging for your life. Wait, said Naruto. Menma narrowed his gaze. I have something to say to you. As Naruto smiled, you talk too much. Boom! Menma was thrown away as a planet that they were on erupted. What the hell? Menma said, floating within space, when he saw an overwhelming light. Wait, the light wasn't just there, it was everywhere. At the edge of the universe and beyond. Even above it. What the hell was going on? The bright light then started to come together as a gas, before forming together, revealing Naruto. Completely fine. What have you done, Menma said. Oh, it seems you haven't figured it out yet. You see, I knew that that thing was up to something. I figured that it would do the same thing that I did. So I decided to have an extra precaution. You see, unlike you, I cheat. Because I'm chaos. I do things that are not normal, while you want law, order, and this and that crap. I break fabric of realities itself. So that is what I did. I tapped into every single universe, the infinite number of universes. But not just that, the outer, and the omniverse as well, and the beginning. What? Said Menma. The beginning. It's the scope of everything. What we're all confined in. While I have yet to reach that level of power, I'm able to tap into it. Because every single universe and multiverse and outerverse and omniverse, they all have chaos. So I simply hook them all together like a thread, needling a thread to one after another. Once all of them were linked, a rather unperceivable number, I simply absorb them all. You see, unlike you are not the embodiment of law, order, and balance. You just have its power and death and all that. However, I forsake my humanity. I forsake my human form a long time ago. I am chaos. So unlike you, I can tap into every single chaos around. And now, I have it all. All at the palm of my hand, said Naruto. What do you think? Menma blinked as he looked up. He was standing in Naruto's hand. All reality, all concept. I've been juiced up to levels beyond your understanding. And you're about to get weaker in 3, 2, 1. Menma lost the power that was granted to him. Having all of that power together would cause an eruption and perhaps destroy the universe. That is why they could not stay for long. Because there was no process, they simply grant him the power. As Menma was, back to his state before. No longer within Naruto's palm. As Naruto warped reality around them. Menma fell on his butt. As the both of them stood on a cliff. Naruto was gazing down. As Menma immediately got to his feet. Easy, said Naruto. I'm not gonna kill you just yet. Besides, it doesn't matter what you do. Menma slammed his fist in Naruto's face, but Naruto did not budge. What don't you get with me absorbing the outer omniverse of chaos? Do you have any idea how much multiverses exist? Do you have any idea how much power is packed inside of me? If I were to erupt right now, everything would be gone. The span of life and death and understanding would be all gone. There is nothing you can do to me now, so you might as well sit down. Menma dropped right on his butt, unable to move as Naruto sat down beside him. You won't get a shh. Menma mouth vanished upon Naruto told him to be quiet. It's amazing what this feels like. Truly and utterly amazing. I'm under so much chaos right now, and yet I've never felt so peaceful before. However, upon reaching this state of enlightenment, you might say, I want more. I want to know what is beyond the beginning. I want to explore the concept of what is beyond existence itself. I'm going to bore through it and punch a hole through reality. And through it all, perhaps the known universes and omniverses will collapse in on itself. But I don't really care about that, because I won't stop until I know the secret of everything and everything beyond it. Before that though, I have to make young Naruto happy. He deserves to relish knowing that you're being punished. Menma eyes widen. Time skip. Might Guy was glistening with power. A red aura surrounding him as he opened the 8th gate. But even then, he was exhausted. They kept on regenerating. It didn't matter how hard he hit them or how much force he used. Suddenly, Naruto appeared. He didn't just appear anywhere, he appeared right in the space that Guy was occupying. And Guy's body could not withstand it, and he exploded, shocking the remainders of people that were left. The shinobi forces had been whittled down a lot. The undead was just so much. Ino had slaughtered a majority of the rookies. Sasuke was dead. Mito was still alive, trying her best to help. However, it seemed pointless. Many even ran away, out of sheer fear and desperation. The Raikage was dead, Oniki was dead. The entire Sand platoon, including the leader, was dead. There was only a handful of ninjas left. And the problem was, when they destroyed the dead, Ino simply brought them back. She had felt the power of chaos wavered, and she started to panic slightly. However, it was back, and stronger than ever before, allowing Orochimaru to change. The Sannin turned into a snake, but not just any snake. He turned into a Hydra dragon, having 4 massive wings, 9 heads. His body was larger than all of the tail beasts combined. He split the earth, he drank the ocean, he burned nations. It seems like all hope was lost, and now Naruto appeared, holding Menma by the hair, who was unable to move as Naruto tossed him down towards the ground. And he was finally able to move. All of you, Naruto called out. Die. Upon saying that, a wave of energy reflected from his words alone. It started to kill every single people around him, except for his family alone. Mito, Menma, Kushina, Minato all watched in shock. A horrific shock as everyone died. Everyone. They looked around, there was no one left standing. Kushina looked towards Menma, so did Mito. Menma looked down, broken and defeated. So that's it, said Minato. He was exhausted as he walked and sat down on a stone nearby. Orochimaru reverted back to his normal form. As Ino came over, the 3 of them standing there. Mito clenched her fist before she released it, realizing that it was over. We never stood a chance, Kushina said. Well, kind of, but not really. But you did catch me off guard there, Menma, with that hole being empowered by everything. However, because of their little stunt, I'm gonna hunt each and every one of them down and purge them from the universes. Now that's gonna be fun. So your little plan worked, said Ino with a smile. More than work. I'm sure you can feel it as well. Oh, I can. It's flowing greater than before. I feel so much stronger. Like I can split the entire universe with one slash. Maybe you can, said Naruto. You are my queen after all. As he pulled her in his arms and kissed her. Menma did not even react. So what now, said Mito. You gonna kill us? Kill you? Oh no, said Naruto. I have to make young Naruto happy. And the only way to do that is to hurt you in a way that, well, it's unending. Well, let the show begin, he said, clapping his hand as everything went white. Time lost all sense of meaning a long time ago. Minato Namikaze. Time lost all sense of understanding. Everything was just that. It's been thousands upon thousands of years. Minato was in a world without anything. He's tried to end himself on numerous occasions, in every way possible. However, every time he did, he would come back. There was nothing here, and no one. He was in an empty world, an empty universe. There was nothing. Minato had lost his mind a long time ago. However, it didn't matter how much time passed. He was just alone. There will be nothing. He didn't have any chakra. He didn't possess any superhuman strength, nothing at all. He was just a man with nothing and no one. Isolation. Loneliness. In another dimension, Menma Namikaze was strapped to a seat. He could never rise, he could never get to his feet. It didn't matter what he tried. In front of him was a screen with himself telling him how much he failed. Over and over and over and over and over again. It was endless. Time stopped making sense a long time ago. All he knew was he failed. Each time, he couldn't close his eyes. He could only watch as he was reminded. He was shown his families and friends dying over and over again. He was shown their anguish. He felt their pain when they were stabbed, when they were gutted and ripped. And it was all his fault. In another dimension, Mito, Namikaze, everything was normal. That is what she thought at first. Her family was alive and everyone was alright. However, she didn't exist. She lived in a world where she was a ghost. No matter how hard she tried, no matter what she did, no one could see or hear her. She watched for thousands of years. As Menma, everyone moved on with their life, having children, and yet she was confined to this reality. Nothing. She could do nothing. She could be a part of nothing. You would think that at least her being able to see was going to make her alright. However, every single time as they age, as Menma had a child with Ino, of course. Turns out that Ino was working with Naruto, and she gutted them over and over. She ended the world. She then lost her memory of what happened, and it started over again. Every single time at the end of it, she was reminded, making her realize that she was trapped in an endless loop, where she was nothing and she was no one. And she couldn't do anything about anyone suffering in agony. All she could do was watch their pain. And this was going on for eons. As for Kushina, She was a young girl, birthed into the world. However, the moment she was born, her parents, they despised her. They hunted her like cattle. She had to live on her own. She had to live in the wild. But it didn't matter how hard she tried, she never passed. Her 15th birthday, she was hunted and killed each time, the death being more gruesome and painful. And every time she died, her memories returned of who she was and what was really going on. And then it all reset, over and over and over and over and over and over again. The family was truly going through anguish, undescribable pain. Meanwhile, Naruto was looking into his palm, where the 4 orbs were, each a separate dimension for his 4 prisoners. Sorry for the interruption. I just love to check in on them every now and again. Now where were we, said Naruto, as he was holding death by the throat. Naruto started to drag his bony ass into the courtroom. Upon arriving, he saw both Ino and Orochimaru. All around them was all of Death's agents, his reapers, his acolytes, all of them dead. I was curious to find out what would happen if Death died. However, I think he would serve a better purpose with me, Naruto said as he devoured him whole, swallowing him with his energy. Death was already weak after Naruto beat the living crap out of him. Naruto's body started to change once again. As he looked into his palm, there was a skull, a tattoo of sorts that appeared into his palm. A sight appeared in his hand as he ate and devoured the concept of death itself. He cricked his neck. The more power he gained, the stronger he becomes. And soon enough, he would be able to slash through the outer and enter into the unknown. Now that was going to be fun. And both Ino and Orochimaru was by his side, both of them delighted by the prospect as well, to know what was beyond the outer. But guys, be in subscribe right here, because that's it guys, that's the end. Just want to say it's been a fantastic run, and I want to thank you all for tagging along with it, with me guys. But it's gonna be ending here, but you already know, new what ifs coming up soon, so just sit back, relax, and yeah, enjoy. Bye, I'm out for now, peace.